Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining. We scheduled this training in response to the number of new Meet network partners and contractors. This was to help ensure that they have more of a clear understanding of the process. We also have some seasoned partners that wanted to take advantage and utilize this as a bit of a refresher, which is good. Know that this session will be recorded, as Zach just mentioned, and it will be uploaded to our resource page. And so also we are fortunate once again to have Zach to conduct this part 2 training. He served as the senior program manager for the Empower program, and he's made himself available once again to walk through the MEEP job process from start to finish. He'll also touch on the deferral and denial process and what that looks like in Hancock. During the last session, we had a much shorter time frame, so we had it was limited questions. Today we have allowed a bit more time, so there will be opportunity to ask questions as he goes through it, as well as at the end. So with that, I'll hand it over to Zach.
All right, thanks, Maria. And yeah, like Maria said, feel free to ask questions as I'm going through here. I'll just be, I can stop whenever and we can talk about whatever you're curious about or need more information. All right, so let me share my screen. All right, so start off, say you've got a new client, we're starting this as if you got a new client, you're told, hey, you have this client in the system that needs services. So you go to your client management. And then you'll have the information of who that person is. So you're going to look them up. Today I'm looking up by name because I just created this person. All right, and you'll find them. It'll be assigned to you, but for you all, you'll only see the ones that are assigned to you, so you don't have to worry about that. Open up the client, it'll look like this. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to kind of go through and check to make sure that the information is all there so that you can actually move forward with the client. So you'll look at your contact information, make sure that's filled out, make sure you don't have any concerns there. Move to your application. You want to make sure that they have all their information. Like this one, for some reason, even though I created it, it's missing their certification date. I don't know what happened there, but I'll just fix that now. But in that instance, you would reach out and be like, hey, this person doesn't have a certification date. Can you help me out? Does someone have a question? So whenever you make an edit here, just as a reminder, you want to click save just to make sure that it stays. But you have that information. If you have any additional information, you would add it in here. And then I always recommend going through the client's file once before reaching out to them, just to make sure you have the updated information or know what information you might need to ask from the client if that's necessary, or Maria or Nubia if it's something that needs to come from them. So then you would come to your energy consumption, and one thing you'll have to do is you'll open these up. Hopefully it'll show. Not showing, but so I apologize for that. But what you will see, and what I went over last time, is there will be a checkbox at the bottom here that is I believe it's approved duplicate or reviewed duplicate. It's one of those two. You want to make sure you check that box. The system needs you to do that in order to move forward with the client. So it'll be a checkbox down here at the bottom, basically below this line. It'll say reviewed duplicate. You check that box and then you click save. It would be the same for your others. So this person is in Baltimore. They have gas and electric. So you're going to do it for both. Click save. And then, as I said, always click this save button at the top. Even if you save in there, you want to make sure you're saving, the whole file. You do have to save at both places. So once you do that, you can keep moving forward. These will be yellow if you haven't done that. So that's a way of telling if you have or have not reviewed that information. Family, you won't have to do anything with, or income. Both of these you can look at, but you don't necessarily want to make an edit because it will lock you out of editing the demographics if that's necessary. So don't add any information to these two areas. Come down to your demographics, just checking to make sure everything's in place. And then finally, the other place that you will more than likely need to make an update is the documents in order to move forward with the job. And something, and I guess we'll do this in a second, but I want to be able to show you all what it looks like. But as you can see here, this WAP rank, it says 0 right now. This needs to have a number in order for you to move forward with the job. If it's 0, it won't let you open the job. Should give me an error. There we go. Priority level is not eligible. Can't access this page. It'll kick you back. And that is just that WAP rank needs to be some other number than 0. Tony, you have a question?
Yeah, hi Zach. That WAP number, I don't see that. Where's that under? Because we're trying to follow along on another computer,
Gotcha.
and we don't. Is it under?
In client information, it should be under application. You'll see it. So we're on the right side.
Okay.
Right side.
Oh, a wrap number. I see it. Wrap rank
So that number is 0. Our number is
3.
3.
3. Yep. So that means that everything in your client file has been checked off and updated, so you can open up the job file, which we're going to do in just a second. But this is if you first get it. Sometimes it will still be WAP rank, and part of the review as I'm going through, as long as you're doing all these checks that I'm doing, it will update this number from 0 to something like 3, 2, 1, whatever their rank ends up being based on the information. So the final kind of part to this is the documents, as I was saying. This one will more than likely be one of the areas that hasn't been checked off yet. So what you need to do is basically, however you receive the lead is how you will check off this area. You don't necessarily need to attach a file at this point, since this is being certified by DHD more than likely. So what you will do is you will come up here and you'll select, I recommend selecting everything first and setting them as not required, and then going back and setting the complete. Just makes it a little bit easier since you can select all. So you select, apply selected, then everything's marked as not required, and then you go to this DHC certified application, select here, change this to complete, and then you apply selected. So then you have your complete. It'll update this information. If this is already filled in, as complete, then you would just be marking your not required in that sense. So that's kind of the difference. So if it's not at all, you can select this. If it is, then you would just go through and make sure that everything else is marked as not required currently.
Excuse me, Zach.
Yep.
Claudia had a question.
Oh, yes, Claudia.
Hey, Zach, thank you. I was just going to ask, is this for all referrals, including MEEP, the DOE, and Empower, or is this just for the DOE WAP?
So far, everything has been is for all programs. You will have to do the same review. I'll mention if it's just a MEEP or just, or not MEEP or something like that if I'm going through it. But so far you'll have to do all of these. The only difference, I guess, Claudia, is that for the other programs, it might not be definitively a DHD certified application. So if you'd say monthly lead from DHCD, it's going to be this OHEP lead right here. If it is, if you're, certifying it yourself, then you would use the LWA certified application to market and have that documented. In that sense, you would have that documentation uploaded since that is your review of the file. So it kind of depends on which ones of these are complete versus not required in those senses, but you will have to fill in this same way for all of them.
Mm-hmm. So for like MEEP-C, that would be DHCD certified OHEP lead.
So actually it would be just DHCD certified application for those ones.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, you want to make sure you save after that, but then you scroll up. As you can see now, we have a 3 here, which means that we're good to go. We filled out all the information. This doesn't necessarily say the information is all correct. I mean, obviously, if you're doing what I was just going through, you'll be, should be not far off or not off at all. But I just will mention that a WAP, just because you have WAP rank doesn't mean, you could put in random information and it would still eventually give you a WAP rank. So you want to make sure that you are, conscious of what you're putting in there to make sure you move forward. But regardless, you'll see that this is now WAP rank 3. So then you can move forward with it. And this is when, I would, go ahead, Peter.
I'm sorry, it's Dorothy. Hi, good morning. How are you? How do we know what our WAP number is?
So it doesn't matter. Well, I won't say it doesn't matter. So for MEEP or Empower, WAP rank does not matter because it's just that you need to have it calculated. The WAP rank for DOE kind of designates how the order in which you should be servicing clients. So like the priority of a client, I know a little bit less about exactly how that goes with the DOE program, but my understanding is that's where it comes from. And that's how you kind of have to meet that rank, is that, you have to do it in the order that it basically helps you prioritize clients, is my understanding. But you won't have a specific number you're supposed to have. It's different based on the client's priority level and that sort of thing.
And how do you determine the client's priority level? Does it say it in the system?
The system does it itself. It's based off of income as well as income, occupants, and then what the type of occupancy are in there. So like number of children, elderly, disabled, that sort of thing, all applies.
Oh, okay.
Ends up being.
All right, I understand.
Maria, did you have a question?
I was just gonna, I was just gonna add though, for me, when the lead is assigned, it has your wait list number in there, and that's the order in which you're supposed to be moving through the client for the MEEP. That WAP is a DOE requirement, and it's just set in Hancock. So you can't get around it, but we don't go by that for the MEEP program. You go by the wait list number that when you're assigned your lead, there's a wait list number there, and you see like a little box on the client tag on the left, the wait list number is in there as well.
Yep. So, and you'll be able to see this outside of the system, out in the grid. I'll show you when we, if we come back out to the grid, I'll show you what that looks like, but you'll see the client tag and it'll look like that, and you can filter for it and that sort of thing. So you can see which ones are the ones you should be looking at first. All right. So once we've done that, now it's time, to do, well, actually, you've done all that. You made sure you have the WAP rank. And this is when you want to, after you're done with this is when you would start reaching out to the client to schedule the audit to go out to the property. And that is something that you want to make sure that you are noting in the file. So each time that go ahead, Roland.
The question I have is, in the WAP rank, I have something different. I have like -1.
And that is fine as long as you have some number that is acceptable. Unless you are, I will say, I guess, let me not overshoot. So for MEEP and Empower, as long as you have a number in there, it doesn't matter. You just need that in there in order to move forward and know that basically that's for us a check on whether everything's been filled out in the client portion of the file. But for DOE, I do know that it is different. I don't know the specifics, other than like I know that it is defining on who you serve first. There is it applies to that, but I don't know the specifics. You would have to ask Kiana for that.
Okay.
Claudia?
Sorry, I just had one other question about the document checking.
Mhm.
So for the MEPC leads that I've gotten, when I go into Hancock, it shows complete and it'll say received date for the date that I was given the lead for all of the documents. But what you're saying is that I should change it to say they're not required and then just click that one DHCD one.
No, not necessarily. So I would say if you get in there and they're all filled out that way, you can just, that's fine. You can move forward. If the program's giving it to you that way, it's more so if you're receiving it and there are ones that aren't marked or, they're all not marked or that sort of thing. That is how you would fill that out.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So, so you want to, you're doing your outreach to the client. You want to make sure that you are marking that when you make your outreach. So say you make a call, you would click this add new button, phone call, set the date. Say you called, let's say you called 2 days ago, you couldn't get a hold of them. Unable to reach. So put in your comment there. You don't have to put in a callback date, but you can. That's up to you. That's for your records. We just want to make sure that you're getting these 3 boxes filled in. You click save, and then you'll show that you have an outreach attempt. This is important for just making sure you're tracking in the system, what's happening, how you're moving forward with clients. If you are unable to reach a client, this is how we're able to tell that you were making efforts. And a reason for deferring a client can be that they are unreachable. So you have to make at least 3 contact attempts if you're unable to reach them, and they have to be 3 different. You'll see this in the POM, but it's 3 contact attempts, 3 different, or at least 2 different ways of contacting. So like phone calls and a letter, and the phone calls need to be at different times of the day, basically to show that you're tracking that, or you're changing the time to try to reach the client. But if that is basically how we're able to see that you are making those contact attempts. And you still want to, if you reach them and you schedule it, you want to put that in as well. So let's say we had another phone call, and that was yesterday, and you scheduled the audit. Save. And so then you have these, this information. This is one place that we will check and want to have information on kind of as you move through and call your clients and schedule and everything. If you're doing that and you need to make any more in-depth comments about what's happening, like you called them, they were upset or something happened or whatever it is, if there's something that needs to be called, or client it said please call back in a month, I have a medical thing that has to happen, so I won't be available for another month, can you please call back in June or something, you can just make that comment in here. That way you're able to look back and see it. If we check the file, we're able to see it. So basically it enables us to know exactly what's going on with the job. But once you go through that and you've scheduled the client, you would go up and you would go to open job. Oh yeah. But save, as I did not do, but you want to make sure you do save at the top always to make sure you don't lose anything. You open the job, and this is going to jump you over into basically it creates the job record when you do this, and then now it will show this client will show up as a job in the job list, which I can back out and show you in just a second. But basically, the client will then show up there. So if whenever you need to find it, you can find that client. So this is the first initial screen you'll come to, the audit information screen. This is where you will put, basic information into here. I'll be putting some extra information, like me won't have to put as much information as I will be putting in here. So I'll just let you all know which that part, but I want to kind of walk through the whole process. So if you are having to put in information, you can. So we will be showing the job type's going to be, we'll do a crisis. No, we'll do a weatherization just so I can show you some stuff. You would select crisis if you're a meat, if you're doing a meat client. I'm going to select weatherization, but just so that we can look at everything. But you won't actually, when you're doing the meat, you want to make sure you're doing the crisis. When you have your assessment date, let's say it was today, you're going to put in whatever that assessment date is. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, when we open the job, we see Justice 40 application. What does that mean?
So that is that's solely for DOE as well. So if you're not doing a DOE job, if it's just a meat job or an empowered job, you would mark that as NA. But for DOE, that requires you to designate if it was Justice 40, which I don't know the specifics of that one. That would be a question for Kiana. If you do need to know that specific information, I do know that has to be filled out. It's a rule by DOE, which is why we have to require it. But for any other program, you just put it in as NA.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. So for this client, we're going to do, for meat clients, you're going to set it to other no energy model. That way you can see exactly, that way it allows you to move forward with the job and not have to do a model, which we'll do that today, just so that I'm showing the actual meat walkthrough. But basically I can show you also, if we have time, I can go through when you actually model the job. But we'll still go through all the sections. You can still access the sections. It just doesn't require you to run a model on the job. This is also what you select if you're doing a base job in Empower. You also do other no energy model. Everything else uses the full house audit. You're going to change this to audited once the audit is completed. We'll just do that now. And then you also have to select your auditor. And this is regardless of the program, you're going to do both of these. And you're just going to select, you'll have a list for your agency in here, and you'll just select whichever auditor is in charge of that project and did that work. And then you're going to go down here. We're going to fill in this part. This is not going to be necessary for a meat job because you won't be auditing, but this is important if you're doing anything other than that. We'll do Baltimore Washington International Airport. Building type, again, this is not required for MEEP, but it is required if you're doing any kind of audit. You do need this information in the file. So let's say this one's a crawl space. No. We'll do that. PHW heating, we'll say it's the natural gas. It's in a Baltimore home, so more than likely the case. Basement type is a full crawl combination. This information can be filled out. Let's say it's 3 bedrooms and it's 1922. And so this is where you also fill out if any of these situations are present when you go out to the home, if there's non-tube, vermiculite, lead paint, moisture problems, um, air quality issues and concerns, or the built before 1979, which we will do for this one because built 1922 for this. The air leakage, which again is not required for NEEP, but I will do it just in that sense. So you would do uniform, normal, normal is how you do it, unless you are doing the audit and one of these is present. But for the vast majority of audits you do, it should be uniform, normal, normal. If you are going to do it in a different way, you need to talk to the inspector about that and just get it clear that you can do it that in a way that's not this. That's just an important note I wanted to make for everyone. You will also need to do the house dimensions. Now I don't remember. I'm going to check this real quick and we'll come back and I'll just show you real quick if this does work. But I believe you have to. I think you might have to do the house dimensions for me if I can't remember. If you said it's no energy model, I can't remember. You definitely need it for doing an audit, like an actual model for it. You do have to add these, but we'll do that in a second.
Yes, the lower part, the house dimensions, yes.
You do have to do it for me.
Yes, just not the house information above that. It's not needed, but the house dimensions.
Okay.
would be needed.
Thanks, Maria.
Can I add one more thing though? The Justice 40 is not an active item according to Kiana or DOE.
Oh,
So
okay.
always put NA right now. And then the other thing you mentioned, just know when it's a MEEP crisis client and you contact a client and they say 2 months from now they need service, that would not be a crisis client, and you could forward them back. If they come back when they're ready and your agency still has funding, then you can absolutely move forward. But we would not hold up funding for a client that says call back in 2 months. So, okay.
Thank you, Maria. Dorothy?
Yes, about what you just spoke about, Zach. How do you determine that if you're just going out there looking at the heating and air conditioning, so to speak? Why is house dimensions necessary for the contractor to take?
So the house dimensions are required because of the Hancock system, is my understanding. That's the only reason why we require it. It won't allow you to fully.
Can you guys hear Zach? I can't hear.
Oh,
I hear.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, Zach. I hear Zach.
Okay. So basically you need to do it because of the system is requiring it. That's one of the things that you can't bypass for the Hancock system is the house dimensions. It is required just to make the system work properly. So that's why. So that's why we limit as much as possible what doesn't need to be added, like this information up here. But unfortunately, this does have to be inputted.
Okay.
So we'll just put some random information in here. To be honest, I'm not going to go into in depth with this part, but you would measure this information quickly just to make sure you have it. So it's a Q4 house.
Is any of that information already on the manual, Jay? I don't know, so I don't know how the technical.
Yeah, your technician. That's a good point.
Because I'm just wondering what
definitely
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say there's definitely that's part of the calculation is the square footage of the home. I don't look at them much, so I don't actually remember if it specifically puts it out there.
We do it by manual, Jay.
Okay.
Okay.
We could do it by manual, Jay, through Google. One form is using the Google Maps to do the square footage of the home.
Okay, cool. So then, yeah. So then, if you need to, you can pull it from there to add that information. Thank you, Roland. Then let me make the first floor.
Another thing that if it can help anybody to get that, if you use Google Map, you can actually do a drawing around the property to give you the square footage, a rough, not but a real good rough square footage if you're not using a Manual J program.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's perfect for this. Obviously, if you're doing an actual like DOE audit or whole home audit, you'd want to do the measurements while you're there. But yeah, for the purposes of meat, that's perfectly acceptable. Let's save. For some reason, it shouldn't give you that kickback, but for some reason, it's giving me that. If you see that, it shouldn't be an issue. I'll double check, but you should be able to click off of the screen, come back, and not have any concerns. Why is that not allowed? Try this again.
So you're having an issue saving it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just saying there's more than one there, that it's trying to save over the job for some reason. There we go.
Because Ephraim and I was having an issue the other day trying to save it.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it just did there. It just, for some reason, it was thinking, I don't know what it was thinking, honestly. It was just trying to save on top of the other job as like a separate job, but it seemed like that cleared it up. So if you ever do have that issue, you can click away and come back and see if that fixes the problem with the saving here. And if you continue to have problems, you can always reach out to I would recommend for that kind of issue, reaching out to Hancock directly for their help desk, and they should be able to clear that up. We'll do Roland and Dorothy.
Yeah, question. I'm trying to click into where it says WAP, and when I click into it, it says at least one program should be checked. I went through all the steps that we went through, and it's not letting me get to the next screen.
So you're saying you're selecting WAP documents here?
Yes.
No,
I'm not in there. I'm in the edit client.
Okay.
And I'm clicking on WAP, and it won't let me. It keeps giving me an error saying at least one program should be checked. So I'm clicking on the thing at the top that has a check mark.
But yours doesn't have a check mark currently?
No, it does. It does have a check mark. I'm trying to get into it, and it won't let me.
Oh, so if you just it should just be that you just open these up once you have. Does your screen look like this right now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you just need to have that checked green in order to move forward. You don't have to do anything else. It doesn't actually click into anything.
Oh, okay. Then how do you get into entering I missed that part. How do you get into editing the program?
The program
to enter. Well, no, to enter information from like the job itself.
Oh, so for the job itself, you're going to go up to open job up here.
Oh, okay.
And you select that, and that'll bring you to the screen we're in, and then you'll be able to actually, once you're in the job screen, you can go back and forth between
yeah, I see it. I see it now, but I have another question too, real quick. How do you invoice? That's my thing. I pretty much have this down, but I need to know, how do you invoice? It doesn't. That's the step that I can't get to.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna get to invoicing and everything. I'm gonna go through the whole process from start to finish.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead. I apologize.
No, you're fine. No worries at all. All right. So you have your audit information in. We're not going to run the audit, but you would run an energy audit if you're doing a meat job. Well, I guess you would run it after you've actually entered their information. So I take that back. I'm jumping ahead now. But just so you know, this is where you run the energy audit from, is this audit information screen. But once you have this basic information in, I would recommend, if you have any WAP documents that you can add in, you would do that next. and then fill out the audit, but that is that's up to you on what order you want to do it in. But so if you have any of these documents that you need to upload, I would do it, at this point, so you just make sure that you have them there, like the energy assessment agreement from the homeowner, the lead renovate right signed form, that sort of thing. Just filling all those specific pieces of information out, making sure you have those required documents in there whenever you're able to. But this is where you would do that. Just to show you kind of how that works, you can hit the pencil, or I shouldn't hit that. That one's not the same. So we'll do the release form. So hit the pencil. You're going to set complete. It'll automatically set the date, and then it'll have, you can add a note for it, and then it should, of course not, give you the option to, there we go. Okay. So that's how you put this information in, is the pencil. To upload the file that you need to attach for that, you go to the pencil with the pad of paper. And you can actually do this from the beginning. I always mix up which one you have to do first. You don't actually have to do that other pencil, because once you put this information in, it'll fill in for those fields that we just filled in there. But this is where you would actually go. You click on upload file, bring up your area, you select it, click open, it'll upload to it, and then you just save it. And then that file will be here, and you can click on it, we can click on it, and review the file and everything from there. All right. So then, so we'll do a MEP job. You would obviously do more in a full audit, and I'll touch on the couple areas that you could be doing work in, but you want to, I'll go through specifically the MEP stuff for this. So you go to your heating and cooling dashboard when you're putting in an item. You're going to add the existing, which is you would add and then add existing heating, cooling, or heating system. Or if it's a heating cooling system like a heat pump, you do that. This one, we're working with a natural gas heating system. So we're going to add a heating system to it. Click OK. Select our fuel source. It's going to be the natural gas one. System type, we're going to say it is a forced air, and we're going to that. Yeah, forced hot air. Then we're going to do electronic ignition for this one, and we'll say this is, let's say it's 12 years old. We're saying it's an older system. You're going to get all this information off of the nameplate. And then for this, you're going to be putting 100% as the usage ratio. Obviously, these are non-functioning systems, but in order for the system to understand what you're doing in it, you do have to keep it at 100% ratio, because this is taking up 100% of the gas or the heating usage for the home. Just saying, and again, you're going to get this information off of the nameplate for the system, since obviously you can't test for it if it's not functioning. And then say it's and then so this is your existing condition information that you have to fill out. And then down here, you're going to add your measure, which, let's say this is the non-functioning heating system, so you're going to be replacing the heating. You select the plus button here. You add whatever your system is. So for MEP, they are, remember what your prefix is. Maria, what's the prefix for the MEP measures again? I'm blinking.
You're referring to the whether it's IR for incidental or the R for repair, and
S, that stuff. Is it just MEP?
It's going to be MEP S, I believe, and then it's for the replacement MEP, and then it's MEP IR for incidental.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I can go to the,
No, I think I have it now. I just couldn't remember. I forgot that it was fully MEEP before it, not like an acronym. Or I mean, I guess that is acronym, but not like the Empower program. All right. So yeah, so you can type in MEEP dash S, or depending on which part you're doing, it could be like R, or no, it's just MEEP S or MEEP R for the IR measures. But you basically type that in so that it brings you to that part of the list, so you don't have to scroll through the whole thing to get to it. And then you're just looking for what you're going to replace that system with. So let's say, I made this confusing, but let's just go with that. We're going to do this 80% AFUE at 45. We're going to do that furnace replacement. Quantity is going to be 1. Unit cost, whatever your unit cost is for this item. Do 80. And then, you don't have to, it depends on, how your pricing is. For instance, I believe most of the pricing just goes into as unit cost, but I believe you can put it in as labor cost, and that does not cause any problems. But I recommend just using the unit cost, just what your pricing is for the program. You're going to put that in here. Comments on the system. Airmaster, sorry, I don't know who is that Airmaster.
is that you, like Ephraim? I think he's, can you hear us, Ephraim? We can't
Yes,
hear
I
you.
can hear you. I'm sorry. Yes, this is Ephraim. Well, thank you for this training. Number one. The other one is my unit cost is not being populated yet. I just tried it this morning. I couldn't get through. And so I just wonder, I thought I was going to have that populated based on the pricing.
So, so you do have to, so here, I'll show you, I will show in just a second, I can show you, but so you'll need to go in and put your pricing in for the agency measures, and I'll show you where you do that at so that it will auto-populate for you. What we had to update, that's updated now, is the thresholds. So basically the caps for your pricing, so that you could not go more than that price is, but to have it self-populate here, you do have to go and update the measures to match your pricing, which I will show you. It's another area from where we update the thresholds. So that's why it's not showing up for you.
All right. Thank you.
Of course. Make a note of that. Don't forget. I'll do that at the end after we go through the job so I can show everyone. But you're going to make any comments here that you need to make, whatever you might need to. I'm trying to think, like, if you had to make an adjustment to something, or you need a reason behind, like why you are doing the replacement, you might put that, you put all that information in this field and it'll be on the actual measure. Okay. Let's say issue. This is not necessarily, I'm just making up something. It's not necessarily what you would put in here. You can, it depends on the specific situation. So I can show you what it looks like from the outside. So yeah, so you're going to save that, and then you have your measure here, and then you're going to update this post efficiency to 80 to match what you installed, which is 80%. And we'll just leave everything the same, save. And also there's a, go ahead, Roland.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. This is you said install, but this is what we're recommending to do.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make, thank you.
Yeah, we haven't gotten yes, I apologize. I used the wrong word. So you are, this is your recommended that you're going to, that you want to install. And then we'll go through, there's a whole work ordering process that we'll get to. Not sure why. I had it as something that changed. I'm not sure. Thought I put that as something. Oh, I guess the post. So you have that saved. And for a meat job, this is kind of where you're leaving it. If it's a heating job, we'll go to our selected measures and you'll see that your heating measure will show up right here. For if you're doing a further audit or a base efficiency job or something, that's where you would get into going into these other areas. If you're doing, a base efficiency, let's say, you're not going to be doing these, wall or attic, because those are going to be insulation and shell measures, which you can't do with the program. But maybe you're doing a lighting replacement. We'll put lighting in there too, just to kind of show you what that looks like. But you're just adding. For this, you're just adding whatever lighting you're replacing. So say it's an interior lighting. You're putting in your estimate for the hours that it's going. Let's say it's like the main light in the living room. So let's say it's 6 hours a day. There's one, or let's say this one has 3 in the light, and right now it's still a 60 watt. You can name this. So you can say incandescent. Let's say this is still an incandescent, and I'm going to spell this wrong. Yeah, definitely spelled that wrong. There we go. Basically, you put in your information, make your comments. So incandescent, let's say, living room. So 1. And so you would go through and add those. I'm going to say you save, and then it works the same way. You're adding your existing condition, adding your selected measure for that. So let's say it's a 11 watt we're replacing it with, and then you're adding your unit cost, adding your quantity. So it's 3. Save that. And you're going to come. Right. And then you have to scroll down, and you are still going to be 6. Then you're going to save, and it'll show up there. And then you'll see we'll save and close, and it will show up in your selected measures. So basically, that is in a nutshell how all of the everything works for adding that information. You're doing your existing condition, and then your selected measure is whatever you are planning to replace it with. One other area we'll go over is combustion testing. You want to make sure that if you need to do it for the program, you're in a home that requires that, a fossil fuel home, you do need to fill out these sections. So combustion test, CO test, and combustion safety are required. So you're going to go in and actually fill this information in, what the equipment is, the information you're getting from that. If you have a first tech going out, they should be doing this, and so you can get that information from them to add to the system. Just make sure that you're filling that out completely if you are in a fossil fuel home. That's very important. And so same for here, you're going to say whatever you're testing, the pre, the post, ambient, so all that information. So just something to make sure that you do on a job if it ends up being, we won't do it for this one, but you should be doing it for a fossil fuel home. All right, so once you got all your measures in, you have all your test information in, you've got it, you're ready to go. You said, okay, I know I want, these are the ones I want to move forward with. So for me, at this point, you would then request the inspectors to review the job for approval. basically you want to send a message to the desk review inbox or job review inbox, asking for a review on the client's name, the job number, and that it's a meat job that needs to be reviewed. The inspector will come in, take a look at what you have in there, take a look at the costs, make sure everything looks okay, and then what you'll get is they should be emailing you back saying, approved or not approved, and in your client information.
Zach, can I also add,
Yeah.
well, reiterate what you just said. Yes, so when they're entering this information in, it's not an automatic notification to the review team. You have to send an email, let them know so they know to review it. And that's important because I actually assumed they were automatically notified, and I learned that's not the case. Yes, Roland.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Was we provided with the email who we need to send that to? I don't recall seeing that.
It was in the information from the meeting on Tuesday, but if you need me to resend it to you, absolutely.
Meeting from this Tuesday?
Yes, it was the job review
I
email.
thought that was canceled.
What was canceled?
The review this Tuesday. I'll look at it, but I'll see.
Send it to you. You were probably one of the agencies that it was. I think it was like 2 that didn't sign on. So, but I will get that to you, and I'll get the agenda from that day.
Mary Kay?
Yeah, we did sign on. We had several different Google meetings, and it just wouldn't let us in. But it's okay. We'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
So I was in the meeting on Tuesday, and what that you guys were referencing was that the critical medical needs doesn't need approval as of now, if I understood correctly. I think that's what he's referencing.
Oh, okay. It could be that. Though it could be that. But yeah, that is the critical medical needs no longer you need to review for. But for me, every job still needs a review. And how you'll know, what you want to make sure you have for moving forward is in here in the comment section, the inspector will make a comment saying that the job is approved at a specific price, whatever the price is, and then you're good to move forward with what you have. If you make any changes to it, have to add a measure or anything, you need to, reach back out to the inspector and have them take a look at it if there are any adjustments at this point to the job. But that'll be in here. It'll say that the inspector, it's approved at whatever cost you have it at. But let's go back. So once you have that, you can then go back to your selected measures. You can walk it. Oh, I went over my own cost. Let me edit that real quick. So let's do 6,000 for that. There we go. All right. Now you hit lock. And then it'll say it needs state approval, but they will go in and do that approval. Like you still need to either when you would email them. Actually, I apologize. You hit the lock button, it'll let you know that it needs state approval. They'll do state approval, which I can do real quick for this job, and then we'll come back to it and continue on. interesting. Should be showing up. Oh, everyone's. Apologize, I'm not sure why it's not showing up right now. Okay, we will. I'll have to see if I can do it in here. Move forward. You won't have to worry about this. You will get a message from the inspector when it's good to go, and then you'll be fine. So no worries. You shouldn't have to worry about that. But this does give us opportunity. We'll go into the job list. So like I said, the job list, you will see, you just look up your client here. It looks exactly the same as the client management. You look up however you want to, and you select, and it'll bring you right to the job. But say you have approval, you're good to go. You've gotten that approval message. You're going to go to your selected measures. You're going to select what funding source. So you want to apply. And actually, for these purposes, I'm actually going to get rid of this so we can just do a meet one all the way through. But if you are doing multiple measures, you would add the funding source to all of them. If it's a leverage job, maybe doing some on Empower, some on DOE, that sort of thing. But for these purposes, just keep it simple. I'm going to say it's just a simple furnace replacement. So we're just going to have this one measure. All right, so you're going to select this by just clicking on it, making sure it stays orange. And then you'll select the funding source you want to use, which, didn't give myself meat funds. My apologies. We will, I don't want to take up too much of our time going and adding that. So let me see, it should not matter. So I'm going to select a different funding source. You would select MEEP here, but just so you know, usually you'll be able to see what are available, and this will be a situation that you want to make sure, like if you click on this and you can't see any of this, it might be that you have the wrong program year here, and then you have to go back and select it again. It could be something like that. So if it's not showing up for you, usually it's because something, the program year isn't set properly. But if you continue to have issues, you can always reach out and we can work it out. But for this one, I'm just going to set it as homeowner contribution. It will go through the same process and everything, but just rather than have you look and me do all the boring stuff by adding a funding source to state of Maryland. So let's say it was inspected the same day, and we had let's just say A&J Electric did it. So you'll have your measure selected, you'll fill this information out, and then you click set, and it will set the information here, funding source, the vendor, and the inspection date for this. And then I think the issue we're going to have is it's not going to let me work order it because you should have a work order option.
Is it something that I can do on my end, Zach? Maybe give you temporary allocations or something?
No, it's not for that. I'm not sure the lock audit part isn't that. I'm not sure why it's not letting me lock the audit. Let me here, because it should, just so everyone knows, usually it should just let you do it because you don't have to run a model. Should be no problem. I'm honestly not sure why it is giving me trouble today. Let's just do a crisis. Make sure I'm not.
Hey, Zach,
Yes.
it looks like you have your job status as inspected. If you're trying to lock it, it can't be an inspected.
What? Oh, because yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, here we go. It actually did update it. For some reason, it just wasn't wanting to do it. But now we're in inspected status, is locked. So we're going to work order this. And basically it'll bring you to the work order page. You just click it, bring it over here. Then you go to add new. And this is where you're going to add your work order. So whenever you're planning to install, I'm just going to make everything on the same day so we don't hit any snags. But obviously you'd be doing it for where you're actually doing what you actually have it scheduled for and everything. If you have a crew leader on it, if you have any comments for this specific one, you would add those here. Why is the record not showing up though? Oh, you know what? I think I jumped. I would let you do that. I believe I might have jumped ahead by telling me to clear something. If I can. Because I think that I accidentally hopped ahead when I added the inspection date, and now it's now locking out of everything. So apologies, I accidentally hit that because what we actually want here is funding source is fine, but I don't want an inspection date, and I won't set the vendor. So if you ever do run into this issue, you can back it out, and it should, of course, it's not going. It should allow you to reset that, but no. Oh, here we go. Oh, no, yeah, that, and that. Okay, so now that we have it correctly set up, we're going to go to work order. And now we should see, yep, there we go. Now you will see it. I had already jumped it way far ahead, which is not what you're supposed to do. So apologies for showing you that. What you should be doing is just adding the funding source, locking the funding, and then the rest of that information will be filled in as you move through these screens. So now that you can see your replacement here, you're going to select that. And then if you're going to change the vendor, you can do that. So we'll just apply the vendor to this one. We'll say it was scheduled for today. And then we're going to save. You'll see that it'll show up here as work ordered. And then the status updates to work ordered. You can see it in your audit information. We'll say work ordered here. So then you would move to, once you've installed it, you would move this to installation. You would edit this record, installation date. Let's say it's installed the same day. You make sure that the measures you have are, the ones that you want to install. So since basically once you have these, it won't be just one measure. In most cases, it'll be a couple different ones. So you just want to make sure that you see all of them here, but they'll all be in one group. So you'll set this date, and then you'll save it for all of those as that was the install date for all of the measures. So then you have an install status. Measures installed will show as your job status at that point. And then when you do your inspection, you go to your inspected or inspection screen. Same pencil again, go in, what this inspector is, and let's say someone else. And then we'll say the date, we'll say it was on the same date. So you're, putting in whatever comments here, the measure, you want to, this is, this information is all going to be for your inspection. The QC form, if you need it, is selectable here. You can click that and bring it up or download it. So you have your QC inspection form that you can use to inspect as the QC inspector. And then you're going to save and close it. Well, you have to, you have to set your inspector needs to set whatever measure as pass or fail. So for this one, we're just going to set it as pass for all measures. If you need to, do specific measures, you can use the pencil to pass or fail specific measures. And then you would save and close. And that means it'll move to inspection or status as inspection. So it's, you'll see here, sent here, inspected. And so that completes kind of your end of everything. From that point, you would then move to the inspection by the QA inspector if that's needed. And then, which, it'll be selected for that. If he does need a QA inspection, you'll be notified. And then you would move to invoicing, which I'll show next. So let's go back. So say you're good to go, job's all done, it's been approved. So you'll go to your the invoice screen. So you'll go to your invoice list first. And then we would look up the job that we're looking for. Well, actually, we would go to an add because this is a new one. So we're going to add an invoice. If you already created the invoice, you can look for it there. If you haven't created it yet, you would then go to that plus button at the bottom. It'll bring you to this screen. And then you're going to add the invoice by clicking here. And then we're going to do incomplete jobs because it's missing some. Oh, I know what it is. It's missing. So this is a good example. So if you do go here and then your jobs don't show up, you want to go to the view incomplete jobs that we're looking at here, and it'll tell you what jobs are missing what information. So Patricia is the one we're looking at. No funding source, that's not an issue. There's 0 there. Program year, you have that, so it's 0 there. There's install date, so that's going to be 0. There's nothing without an install date. Need approval? No, it doesn't need approval. Waiting for monitor? No. Missing the blower door information? No. So basically, this all information will let you know which parts you're missing. So we're missing photos, right? Important part that I did not add, apologies. And we're missing our WAP document. So that lets you know, okay, I got to go back in and I need to update that information so that I can create the invoice. So let's go back to Patricia. We'll add that information in. there's always, that just happens sometimes. Then, you just have to jump back into it. Unfortunately, the system can kind of have like little quirks like that happen every so often. So we're going to fix the photo situation. So let's go and let's say let's upload a photo. Have a photo. Questions. We're going to do unique audit photo. So the pre-photo. And that's not too big. Sure. There we go. View this beautiful picture. That's 16 days. All right. So then you'll save that. So we have one photo, and then we'll just do the same one. But usually you should have a different one, obviously, in these. And you're going to want to make a comment. So let's say you have your inspections photo. One. But you make a comment like, what do we call this? HVAC install section. Okay. And that'll show up here so we know which one it is. And then there's another way. But so you have your photos in for each of the measures. Go back to WAF documents, and this will be the other area that you have to make sure you fill out. So what you basically will do here is, the specific information that's required for the job you're doing, which is different based on the funding source. So we have a list in the POM that you can use to guide you on what needs to be uploaded. But basically, you need to follow that in order to make sure that you are uploading all the documentation. I'm going to set these all because I don't have things to upload. I'm going to set these all as not required. But usually, obviously you're going to want to do that because the desk reviewers and the invoice staff will check this. If it's missing documents, it'll be kicked back to you. So you want to make sure you do have it filled out completely, not just marked as not required, because they are required. All right, so we should now be able to go to invoicing. So, like I said, you go to the invoice list. You go to the plus button down here. Here you go for the direct cost. This is where you add the invoice. You don't add down here. You add in this area. Oh, I still don't have it. What did I miss? Okay. There we go. Okay. I forgot. You have to put in the funding source that you're doing. So it'll be the MEET-C funding source you're using that you apply to that client. You put in here, and then you're searching for that client. You want to make sure also the contract year is correct. So whatever the current year is, so if it's the 26 or if it's 27, for instance, you just want to make sure that's correct because it won't show up if you don't do that as well. And then you basically just search for it and it should show up for you. And then you want to just select and checkbox, and then you're going to click save. And then it will add the job here. Also, I don't have the rules set up, but you will see the indirect costs for your agencies will pop up here. You do not have to add them by yourself. So like the audit costs and everything, those will automatically show up here. But I don't have that set up for the state of Maryland agency in the system, so it won't automatically do it. But for all of you, you should see an automatic one show up here. If not, let us know, because we'll need to fix something, because it's not automatically putting them in there, which it should be. But in theory, on a normal client, you have this information, you have the audit information, or the audit cost in here for indirect. You have your invoice in here. You go to then complete and return to invoice list. You're not done yet. Basically, your next step is we're going to submit it, but this is getting it to show up in the invoice list. It's these steps that we're just doing.
Excuse me, Zach, can I also add, in that same area where he stated that the indirect costs will automatically populate there, please do not making any additions there, because the review team will also is supposed to be looking for that as well. So if you have a question or you feel that there's an additional cost or something, please reach out and let us know. But please do not add additional or attempt to add additional costs in that area.
Yep. Thank you, Marie. All right, so we're in here, and this is our invoice that we've created for the homeowner contribution. How you can look at that. If you're unsure which one it is, you can also just really open it back up and look at it. When you're creating the invoice, one thing that you might want to make sure, if you're not going to immediately submit it, you want to make sure you know which invoice number is, because as you'll see, go back to the invoice list. As you saw, there's the only identifying information is going to be the invoice number on that screen. So just be aware of that, so that you know which one you need to submit, when you want to submit it. And if you're ever unsure, you can always you don't even have to edit it. You can just use the magnifying glass to take a look at it. But this one, is good to go. So we're going to select it for submission. So we're going to select it. We're going to go down here, and we're going to select submit. Ask you, are you sure? Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. So this is where you might run into another. Well, you shouldn't be running into another issue, because you didn't do what I did, which is you uploaded the actual information. There is an upload to it. It will kick it back, even if you just set those as not required, or completed but doesn't have an upload to it. The system will check for these, and it will kick it back. So make sure that you have them uploaded when you are going to go to submit. But at that point, if it is submitted, it will show. The only change here is this will say submitted instead of open, and then it's sent to us, and then it's it's our review at that point. So that's kind of the end of the invoicing process for you, unless there is an issue or something that will be that needs to come back, and then it'll be pushed back to you. You'll get an email or a notification about why that was pushed back and what needs to be fixed, and everything, so that that it is open again and you need to make an adjustment. But that's how you go about the submission process for an invoice. So that's kind of the start to finish. I'm going to go over a couple other things just to show you kind of how that a couple other items work. We'll go to the agency measure first, so I can show you how that works. So basically what you should see is, if you scroll down, well, you might have to scroll down, but it's down here under program information. There is an agency measures. You won't have a lot of this because it's only on our side, but you will have agency measures. And so you'll, let's just look up, and then you can search. And this, if you just do that, oh, right, you have to do that. So you select what area you are looking for, and you don't have any measures here. So what you do is you add, it should be in there. All right, so we'll search, and then we'll add your pricing. So what you'll do is you'll come in here, you'll say, okay, I'm doing my, and this is all on the on our station site, so it won't impact actual site. But let's say, setting my pricing for one of these, you would select it, you would put in this is the unit cost. I know it's kind of funky. I don't know why it does that, but you're putting your unit cost in here, and then you're saving. So do that. So, oh, and then you have to put 0 for that. And then that shows up. It pulls the unit type from the actual measure itself. But once you do that, this is what you've then set this so that anytime you put this measure in, it will put this unit cost in, and that, and you just have to do that for all of the measures that you want to have that preset for. That's how you ensure that it'll pre-load for you. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to quickly go over is just what you do if you're going to defer or deny a client in the system. And I will go over kind of what you do if you outside the system too, but Maria, correct me if I'm wrong on anything I say, but I'm pretty sure I'll be right. But if I do say something wrong, please let me know.
No worries.
So we'll open up our other client. We'll do the deferral first. So open this client up. Let's say you went to the home. I guess what I'll start with, so the big difference between a deferral and a denial is severity. Most of the time, that's kind of the big difference there. Basically, a deferral could be that there is structural issues, something like that, but it's not imminent failure of structural issues, but it is preventing weatherization and can't be fixed, or is preventing you from installing a system and can't be fixed with funds from the program. That kind of defines a deferral. A denial would be that the issue is so severe that it cannot be remedied, or it won't be remedied by the customer. You get into a home and it's like falling down, for instance. That's extreme, but that's the kind of thing that you would deny a client on. Or it could be an issue with a client where the client is combative, and is putting your workers at risk. That's another reason to that you could deny a client for. But those are like I said, the denial is really an extreme. Deferral is just that we can't help them now because of a situation that's in the home. That could be remedied, and we could come back to the home and fix it, and do our work after it's fixed. That's kind of the way to look at a denial versus a deferral. So if you're doing a deferral, there's a couple places that you have to include information. So one is, let's say that you're doing a deferral based on, we'll do a deferral based on contact attempts. So you called them 3-4 times, they're not answering, you're not getting back to you. So you would defer them in the client file because you haven't created a job yet for this client. So you're gonna, well, we won't be able to edit it because I wanted to be able to show you what it looks like when you have a job, but you would put this information in here. So you check the deferred box here. You would select the deferral reason. There's a number of reasons. One of them is that they're unable to be contacted, and then the date that you're deferring them. So you put that information in there, and then you also need to notify Maria, you require them to notify you, correct, for your clients?
That is correct. It's in the palm.
Okay. Yep. So you need to make sure you notify Maria in that scenario. And then I believe, let me double check. Yeah.
Those are, I'm sorry that if they haven't, you mean if they, this is the deferral, if they've been into the house, that's different, but they cannot get into the house.
Yes.
Yes, those would come to myself and Nubia.
Yeah. And then you would make I believe you need to make a note in the comments as well, saying why the deferral was, what the reason for the deferral was. So that is for if you haven't made it to the home, you haven't gone out, you know, you're just unable to, that's mostly going to be not able to contact, or no, not interested in services, that could happen too. But if you have already created the job, you're actually going to go into the job to do your deferral, and you need to have a deferral form at that point.
The deferral form is not needed from you. Yeah.
Oh, right. Apologies. For me, you do not need it. For Empower and for DOE, you do need a deferral form created. But if you're just deferring, for me, all you're doing is you're going to let Maria, you still let Maria know that you're deferring the client, but you would just come in here, you select deferred, you know, what the deferred date is, and then your reason for deferral.
And can I add there? So if they've been into the house, that they have to notify the review team. It's just that they cannot connect with the client or the service is no longer needed. That's when Nubia and I need to know, because something that, you know, on our side we need to update. But if they've been into the house or they've done an audit, and now the inspectors want to know why they are deferring the client, so that notice will go to the
Gotcha.
review
Okay. So yeah, so you send it to the desk review team, letting them know that it was deferred. For if you're deferring after you've already started the job and gotten into it, and you've run into an issue for you know, any number of reasons that would be allowable for a deferral. So you're going to select these three options. You're going to go down and you click save. And then that will save the client, set them as deferred, and then you're, you know, in theory all set. Obviously, you know, the review team will review it and ask you any questions if there's something that sticks out, but you know, hopefully for the most part you won't have that have to happen. Now for a denial, it's similar process. You're still going to set it as deferred and everything, because that's kind of the setting in Hancock, is deferring, but you have to take some extra steps. One of them is you need to send a denial letter to the homeowner, detailing what it is, and this is all in the palm, so you know there's more details. So I recommend going to the palm and doing it, because I'm just going to kind of go high level. Basically, you're going to create the denial letter, send it to the customer, and you're also going to upload a copy to the client information section. But in the document section, there is a spot for denial letter here. And so this is where you're going to put that information, upload that letter here so that we can review it, and you have to send it to the client. So that's the step. Everything else that you would do for a deferral, you would also do for that, so that the file is deferred out, and doesn't show up as just kind of sitting there in a specific status, because we don't have a denied status. We have a deferred status with a denial letter. And I guess one other thing that I forgot to mention, if you are doing, if you are in the Empower DOE program and you need to do that deferral, the deferral form goes into your WAP documents. That is down here. You'll see weatherization deferral form. So you would fill that out, have the customer sign it, and then you would upload it here. And that's just about it. Do we have any questions, anything you want me to go over to? I know we still have about 30 minutes if we want to go in and look at something else, or you have any questions. Ephraim?
Yes, Zach, on that denial, there's a place for us to upload pictures to justify the denial.
Yes, so you would, if you're doing the denial, once the job started, it'll go in your uploaded photos. So same place you would put your inspection photos and everything, your denial or deferral photos also go there.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tony?
Yeah. So empowered. Seth, I sent the email to Seth yesterday, and he said that I had to fill out some information in Empowered. Is Empowered different from Hancock?
No, Empower is a funding source. So it's a program with actually it's a couple different sub programs. What did Seth say specifically you need to fill out?
Well, I told him that I went to several homes, and we kind of actually, we didn't have this full program that she's showing us, so we made some mistakes, and I reached out to him, and he said that I am supposed to fill out some forms in Empowered, and he gave me told me to go to section 6.2 or 6.45 in the operations manual, and that's what that's where I'm at now as far as reading that. So I'm a little bit behind on trying to catch up with everything I need to do. So this was very helpful because the job status, that's what we didn't do. So we have to do some once we get out of this meeting, we can upload all the information, because I've been to all the people's houses, but it seems like I should have did some other steps before I went to the houses. So what I did take the pictures, I gathered all the information, so I just got to fill that in. So
okay. And yeah, like I said, if you even after this call, if anyone has any questions or anything, you can reach out to Maria for the MEEP ones, and if she needs, she can get to me if it's a specific one for Hancock or something, and then Empower ones you can reach out to myself or Tatiana, and then Kiana for the DOE specific ones. Any other questions? Anything else you want me to take a look at?
Yes. Ms. Turner said that there was 2 reasons that she needed to know about a deferral. One was the no contact. What was the other one?
I'm sorry, repeat your question.
You said that there was 2 reasons that you needed to know about a deferral.
Oh,
what was the other? What was the other reason? One was no contact. What was the other one?
If the client is refusing service, they say they don't need the service anymore.
Oh, okay. So we need to contact you through email?
Yeah, just in an email returning that leave, including that client information and the reason. And so we just need to update our notes.
Okay, thank you.
Roland?
Yes, Mr. Turner. Question I do have, if we do go out for crisis and we do all the measurements, all the audit to the unit, and there's nothing wrong, what steps do we take in Hancock?
So that would still be a deferral, right? Zach, they would no longer need service. So you would do just as he did. You go into Hancock and you would select that area, and then you would go back to us, because you're saying you went out there, the client has said they needed service at some point, but you've gone out there and you determined there's no service needed, correct?
Yes, under the cooling side, under either one, her heating was right, but we got it for a cooling lead, and it was nothing wrong with the unit at all. She's in no crisis. And so if we do it as deferral, do we not get compensated for going out to do the call?
Unfortunately, with me, that is the case. If it doesn't turn into a job, no, we don't have the ability to reimburse for an assessment attempt.
Okay.
Sorry.
The issue is, I think a lot of people think they're just getting units. That's what I think we're running into. I think some other contractors ran into that also. Do we ask that question before we go out? Are they in a crisis?
So yes, you want to pose those questions when you're on the phone. That's why, yeah, that's what we were saying. If you get out there, you contact the client and they tell you they no longer need the service, then absolutely, then they don't need the service. I do know, in communication with Seth, yes, he's mentioned it's preferred for someone to actually go out because, it could be a health concern that the client may never have known. And so I'm going to say it is preferred because that is, that would be the thought. But if the client is just saying, no, I don't need service, they're refusing the service, there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
Tony?
Yeah, see, so I want to segue back into what Roland said, because I have actually had similar experience. Because some of the clients are just asking for like a updated thermostat, and but I didn't know that until I got out there. So Maria, what you're saying is that we should, even though we get the lead, we should, actually call the client and see exactly what their need is, and basically defer it and to be defer it back to Hancock before we make those drives because I'm going to Baltimore on a lot of these jobs, and that is a lot of time.
Absolutely. So that's, so the such things is not noted in the POM. But yes, a lot of the agencies, they will just go down a list of questions to, communication with the client to see what their need is. Sometimes, a lot of times the expectation is, okay, you come in this and give me a brand new unit. And there are times that there's nothing going on in the home, but when they apply to us, we have to assume what they say and assume they're in a crisis. We've sent out letters, but if they don't, some clients do reply back, yes, I still have a need for service. If they don't reply back, we have to have the assumption that they still need service. And until we know specifically, until we know beyond a shadow of doubt that this client is saying no, or they've been serviced through another program, we have to still assume that client needs help, and we still have to assign it out. But we do our part, just so you know, to try to screen them down as much as possible. But if they tell us they need it, we have to assume it's the case. But yes, maybe some of the other partners can share, maybe they have a general list of questions they run down with the client to see, just to see, how much does this client actually need service, or should she, or plus our inspectors, Seth, he's over the inspector, so he's made it clear to me if you guys have specific questions or need some guidance, you can definitely reach out to him also. Okay. Is there any other questions?
Yes, I do. Chris from Edge. when we defer a client, they say they no longer need service, we refer them back to you. Do they get set up to it with another contractor if they apply for Empower funds, or can we send them back through our pipeline to access those funds?
So
If that makes
it's also,
sense.
I think I got what you're saying. So it's also stated in the POM that every meat job is preferred. The goal was to turn it into a weatherization.
Right.
Correct. That so you don't have, if you can't provide the MEP service, you're absolutely open as long as there's a client tag that says weatherization, whether it's Empower, state utility or DOE, you can definitely go ahead and provide those services if you have a weatherization budget.
Copy. Thank you.
Is Garrett on the call? And she mentioned having some questions. I thought she was trying to wait till.
Yeah, I'm here, Maria.
Oh yes, hi Amy. You said you had some questions. I saw your email. You had some questions, I thought.
Yeah, I haven't compiled my full list of questions, but in general, I find the POM kind of thin on guidance about the documentation that we're supposed to provide for, say, callbacks, deferrals, denials, that sort of thing. Could you speak to that?
Well, so let me just say it did take for us, for me anyway, the new agencies that joined, because I didn't get very many questions on the documents before. So it did take us taking on the new partners that I realized there was such, a different level of clarity, I'll say, in the POM. So that is something that I'm working on so that for next generation, it will be better. But if you have suggestions, I know you sent something which we have talked about on the back end here, Amy, on your with the QCI. So yeah, so if you see things or if you have suggestions where we're lacking, or you feel you can make some suggestions, please do send them. We're definitely looking at everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tony.
Yeah, so Marie, I did hear you mention about the weatherization fund. So we have a client that was given to us, and her issue is windows. Her windows is leaking. Now, when you say weatherization fund, is that the other solicitation that went out for weatherization? Because I know that which we wasn't awarded that part. And then the one where the HVAC is that the current one that we're now on. So now my question is, I deny that because I don't have the weatherization fund. Is that correct?
So Zach represents the Empower weatherization. I'm sorry, Kiana's not on the call. She represents the DOE weatherization funding. So if you're asking, if part of what you're saying is you have a weatherization client, well, you can't provide MEP services, so you want to refer them for weatherization. What would you do, correct? Because yes, if you're not awarded Empower DOE right now, no, you obviously can't provide those services.
Yes, that is correct.
So
okay, that is a denial that I now go in and deny, and then write in the denial section that she's requesting windows because her windows are leaking.
You cannot provide, you can't address the windows. So
right.
she does not need me. So yeah, it would be a deferral, right?
Okay, because deferral. Okay.
You cannot move forward with that. But if you want to refer the client to weatherization, Zach what would you suggest?
I believe, how did we do that for?
Now, I'm sorry, just real quick, so I'm sorry, I did just ask you that. I want to say, there's also, as I've mentioned before, if they want other services, you would send them through the intake. That was what I mentioned this week. But if you prefer an additional method or another method, Zach, definitely.
No, that makes sense. Send them to intake, that way intake can assign out that client to a weatherization contractor or LWA.
Okay. Is that I hope your question was answered.
Any other questions, concerns, anything you want to take a look at before we hop off?
Okay.
Zach,
Well,
I have kind of a general question. This is Amy again.
Okay.
So the stuff in this training was really helpful, the material you covered, but as I go back over the recording, I am going to have a lot of trouble finding specific answers to questions in the whole 2-hour bit. Is there any possibility that you or somebody could create little, like, 2-minute screen grabs of, say, how to do a deferral, how to do a quick intake, little one-offs like that?
Yes, actually, my plan, and I can look at doing it for Gen 3 too. But that's one of my plans for Gen 5 is to have those available for everyone. Obviously, I know everyone's not moving to Gen 5 yet, but I can look into doing that for Gen 3 as well. It's just been I just haven't had the time to sit down and do that. But that is on my radar to do because I do know that it takes effort to look through these trainings because they're so long. So definitely looking to doing that.
Thank you. That would be super helpful. I appreciate your time.
And of course.
Air Master had a question.
Yes, Maria, going back. So basically for our agency, we'll have to go back and input one by one the agency measures, correct?
Yeah.
So you mean selecting your own for your own agency. Yes.
Yes, yeah. For the preset, you have to go through and add it for each one if you want to have it filled for each measure.
Okay, so all right, it's going to be a cumbersome.
Do you so you got no? I mean, he's updated your price list this past week. He said it's done. Are you seeing it?
No, I'm not seeing it. I just went back and looked at the measures, and there's nothing there.
So Maria, that the update they are making is for the thresholds, Hancock. It's not for their agency measures. The agency measures they put in and add their price to for their presets.
But you saw the email though. I said entering in his measures and then entering the threshold that where the maximum and he can allow for costs. But I asked for both.
Oh, okay.
And I sent them the price list with all of their measures, and he and I were on a call that because it's there, it was submitted, so apparently they were skipped. Sorry, I have to go the whole thing on this call, but okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna reach back out to Matt at Hancock. Yes, that's a long, tedious process if it's not showing, and that is something that they do for us. I will email them now actually. And I'm gonna include you in the email, so you'll see me communicating with them. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there, I guess there's no more questions. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, of course. Does anyone have anything else before we hop off? I know we have a couple more minutes.